Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado. Got Mark Giordano coming up here in a moment. Gio with his take on the Leaf win last night. Leafs again back in action on Saturday night. And then down in Florida, back-to-back, Panthers on Tuesday, Tampa on Wednesday. Those are two massive games, man.
Yeah.
Massive, massive games. But you got Ottawa.
Florida down there Tuesday and Wednesday, Hayes?
Yeah, next Tuesday against the Panthers, next Wednesday against the Lightning. And then right back home and they play the Habs next Saturday night. So, like, you got a lot of big games still to come here for the Leafs.
Who scares you more? Lightning or Panthers?
I would have said a month ago the Panthers. I'm starting to turn on the idea that it could be Tampa that would scare me more to play in the first round. Is that what you're asking?
Just, I don't know. In general, like, the Leafs play well against the Lightning. Like, I think they're 7-3 in their last 10 against the Lightning. And, like, it's been outlined. Vasilevsky's numbers haven't been great against the Leafs, but there's just always that, like, the Lightning could flip the switch and turn it on you quickly.
Murray said it best, guys. You're going to have to beat a team from Florida, and you're going to have to beat a team from Ontario.
Yeah, that's likely what's coming here. As long as Ottawa, who we all said guaranteed locked up that first wild card spot, I still think that's the case.
I guaranteed them in the playoffs. I still think so,
They're making the playoffs, but they got Tampa tonight, and Tampa's red hot. Like, if Tampa goes in there and beats them, they'll start to get nervous in Ottawa a little bit.
Well, Ottawa's got Florida on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. You got Tampa and Florida coming up. You can do the Leafs a massive favor. Or
and then they got Columbus on Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Ottawa's got some serious games coming up. Again, they have a 5-point buffer with 8 games to play.
Yeah.
They're in a very good position here. But, nothing's guaranteed until you get the X beside your name, which the Leafs got last night for the 9th straight season.
Yeah. And not a lot of playoff success, if any. But it's still something to say you made the playoffs 9 years.
It's the longest run in the NHL right now.
Ask Vancouver if they would have liked to make the playoffs this year. Like, it's no guarantee, right?
We need to put this up?
9th straight playoff appearance.
There's no way Joe from the Bridge made this. This would have killed him.
Joe from the Bridge did make that. That is
he made that?
I don't know. I don't know if Joe from the Bridge. He probably did because he's a professional. But
did Joe come up with that and he posted that?
Well, it's not about coming up with it. It's factual. What we're looking at is the 9 straight playoff appearances by the Leafs and what happened once they got to the playoffs. Obviously, remember the first year, 9 years ago, they were eliminated in the first round against Washington 4-2, all the way up until last year when they lost in Game 7 in the first round against Boston. But if you look at 2023, eliminated in the second round to Florida. So that's big, right? That sticks out. But let me finish my case. Obviously, I'm joking. But listen, 9 years in a row is still, it's an accomplishment. Like, good for them. During the regular season, they have been a regular season juggernaut for a long, long time. But my reasoning for why I have maybe flipped is when they beat Tampa a couple of years ago, Tampa, I think, just ran out of gas. And I wonder if Florida's going to run out of gas. Like, they've gone to back-to-back Cup finals. I don't know if Kachuk's going to be at 100%. Is Marchand going to officially, like, assimilate to that team and really be, able to help them?
You know what
does Ekblad look like? These are all question marks.
Gio will tell you this. There's only one way to find out if they're going to run out of gas. You force your hand to see if they can run out of gas.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Instead of saying, "Oh, what are these guys going to bring to the table?" You ram it down their throats and say, "You guys got anything left in the tank?" That's how you approach it.
Well, and that's what the Leafs did 2 years ago. Like, and listen, they went to overtime a bunch. They won 3 games in overtime in Tampa. Like, that's a bounce goes the other way, and it could be a very different history. But a guy that was there for that run joins us now. Here's former Leaf, longtime NHLer. There's our main man, Mark Giordano. FaceTime Gio. We love it. What's happening, Gio?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
We're doing very well. We were just discussing the idea of the Panthers possibly running out of gas because they've been to 2 straight Cup finals and they're dealing with injuries. How would you approach that? Like, are you buying it? Do you have to believe it? Do you have to see it to believe it? Where do you stand on that?
I thought about that watching the game yesterday. I thought, it looked like a team who played 3 and 4 last night. I thought the Leafs had way more pop, and it got me thinking a little bit like, 2 finals in a row, long runs. They played a lot of games too in both playoff runs, so I think that's a huge factor. And then, Is Barkov going to be 100%? Is Tkachuk going to be 100%? You take those two guys out of the lineup and you take Ekblad out for, I think it's 2 games.
Yeah.
It's a different team. It's a different team for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And last night, was significant for the Leafs. And I think it was significant that they won it in regulation, right? Like they're down 1-0, they tie it, and then in the third period, it's the Matthews, Marner, Nyes line that put them over the top. How significant, in your opinion, was that third period in particular? The top guys dragging them to the finish line, and the fact that they did win in reg.
Yeah, I thought it was big. I think you want to separate. You want to win the division, obviously, and you want to separate yourself. But I liked what I saw from Mitchie's been doing it all year. He did it in the Four Nations. I don't think he gets enough credit. In that final game, he was the reason. Those 2 assists he made, he was one of the big reasons. Him and Binnington, why they won the Four Nations, and then. Last night, I thought he was unbelievable again. I thought a goal and an unbelievable pass, that stretch pass, to sauce it and land it like that. So he deserves a lot of credit this year for what he's been doing up until this point. And I, like you said, I like that the guys threw that third period last night. And it wasn't only the goals. It was a 6-on-5 play, diving all over the place, blocking shots. To me, that shows, like, to your teammates, like, you want to win. You know what it meant that game yesterday. So I think it's huge for the Leafs, but I am going to admit, I did think yesterday for a little bit, I was like, who would you rather play in the first round? The thought crossed my mind.
Yeah.
A Florida Panther team who's missing their top 3 guys, maybe, or 3 of their top guys with Ekblad, Tkachuk, and Barkov, if that's the scenario. I know I'm making it up or whatever, or not really making it up, but it might happen. Or a fresh Ottawa team with everybody healthy, with Ullmark and Ned, who's been playing well.
Dude,
so
I've been doing this for 9 years, even when you were on the team, Gio. There's fears all over the place. There's a hot goalie. There's a hot power play. I mean, I called it fear factor. It's like, what do you fear most? Brady Tkachuk or Matthew Tkachuk or Vasilevsky or Tampa's power play? There's all kinds of ghosts and goblins out there that can affect the Leafs ride here.
The goalie did get me yesterday. The goalie, I was like, when at the start of the game, I'm like, oh no, he's doing it to them again. Like, when we played Florida in the second round and we lost in 5 games, it felt way worse than it was because this guy, we couldn't score on this guy, and he made timely saves. And at the start of that game yesterday, I was like, oh my God, he's got to talk again. There he is. So I don't know, but I did think about that scenario in my head yesterday.
Gio, you talked about Mitch getting it done and playing well, the Four Nations. Like, do you think it's possible with these guys? And I know you were part of the group for a couple of years. Like, after all that time, and we just posted a board after all the first-round losses and the second-round losses, like, do you think as pro athletes, like, it could click in after all these years that maybe this is what we need to do? And if the answer is yes, then what took so long?
Yeah, I think they can, for sure. I think it can click in. I think there's a bunch of years that go by at the start of your career where you're like, you're trying to find your way in the league, but you're also trying to establish yourself. I mean, they're superstars, so they establish themselves quick. But I think it takes a lot of different things. And I think, maybe the changes that they made, you bring in a new coach, you bring in some new players, sort of a new look to their team, like a little bit bigger, playing a different style. Maybe that's what it's going to take. But, I mean, I'm biased. Obviously, I played with these guys and I know them. And I think the first round exits and the heat that comes down on them is justified a lot of the time. But I do think that they have that desire. I've been in the room. They have that what it takes to win, that desire to win. Like, I think they all look different. Mitchie's more, you see it more, he wears it more, but it's like Matthews is more reserved, Willie's more reserved. But, I always go back to, like, different guys have different attitudes. If you look at Mitchie, like, he takes a lot of heat sometimes because, he wears, like, his emotions. Like, but if you go and watch a 5-year-old play, who would you rather have? The kid who just floats around and doesn't, like, get mad or get pissed off, or, like, that kid, or the kid who cries when he loses. The kid who cries when he loses cares more, you know what I mean, about winning. So I go back to that. But I think, like, it's going to fall on your top players, and I do think they can make it happen for sure.
when you watch this team play this year, Gio, like there are things that look different, and you spent a lot of time with these guys, and you would have seen the evolution of them. Like, you think these guys, like, they're willing to adapt to this style of game, and now they're seeing the success? Like, did you always kind of think that these guys would be willing to change the way they play in order to get to this point, or was it like, we got to stay with what we do because we know this is going to work, and they just never got the results, and now things look different, doing things a little bit of a different way?
Yeah, you know what I think? I think a lot of the time with skilled guys and super skilled guys, and there's 3 or 4 of them or 5 of them playing on the same team, you can outscore your problems a lot of the time, right? So, especially in the regular season, you outscore your problems, things don't look as bad, you look great. But in the playoffs, you're going to have to play the way they're playing now and the way they started the season. I thought they had a little lull in the middle, but I do think it looks to me like there's a big-time buy-in. I think Berube coming in, that's his style of play, right, as a coach, and he's really hammered it home. And I think you see it. But the problem is when you're that good, you're that skilled, it's hard because you can just outscore your problems a lot of those games in the regular season. And a lot of the times you play a horrible game and you win, you get the result. So I think that hurt them at times in the past, but I think they're maturing enough and they got a mature coach who's won before, and I think it might push them right to the next level.
It's a very simple recipe, though, Gio. A skilled team. There was a play last night that the William Nylander passed to John Tavares. It was like the skill came after the simplicity. If you remember in the neutral zone, William Nylander, he didn't try a toe drag. He didn't try some stupid pass. He chipped it off the wall and let somebody go get it, and then he got it back. This play right here. That's a chip off the wall to McMann, and then checking comes into play, hunting pucks come into play, and it pops the puck loose, and the skill can come after that. But the stuff that led to that, to give you that opportunity, was very cookie-cutter stuff, simple stuff that anybody can do, and you just have to work at it, and you just hope you get opportunities like that. So if there's any lesson in that one simple play, that one particular play right there, it's like, let's get the simple stuff first and put us into areas where we can be allowed to use our skill, and then we can go ahead and do it. But if you start using your skill right where Nylander got the puck, you're screwed because you turn the puck over, you don't put it into places where you get it back, and you're just chasing all night. So that was a great little play started by simplicity.
I agree, Owen. And the other thing too is like, sometimes you gotta understand that you're not going to score every shift, and you gotta put that in your mind. And you got to put the puck in, and you got to set the next line up for a shift. And I think that's the mentality in playoffs. Like, you're setting up your next line for a shift. Like, nothing bothered me more when I played when like guys would stay out for a minute and a half and get tired, and then just chip the puck and let the other team have a set breakout behind the net while you had to jump on the ice in your set breakout, and you're defending for maybe 30, 40 seconds, right? So I think I saw that too last night a bunch of times where they set each other up, and when they didn't have the play, they chipped it in. Their top guys, their bottom guys, they were more aware of, okay, we're not going to score every single shift. Let's set each other up here.
With Mark Giordano, you were one of the many guys over the years that took a turn with Morgan Rielly and tried to get Mo moving in a certain direction. He's had a lot of different partners over the years. And now he's got Carlo, and the numbers have been great. The eye test has been great. I thought the two of them played really well last night. And I think they've played collectively well, really, since Carlo arrived. What is it about playing with Rielly? Because it's a constant conversation. It has been for like 10 years. Who can play with him? Are you on the offside? Does it have to be a right shot defenseman? Does it have to be someone who's a quote unquote stay at home guy? Like, what do you think works with Carlo in particular that has Rielly popping, and what does Rielly in particular seem to need in terms of who he's playing with?
It seems like with Mo, he needs. I like when Mo gets a lot of puck touches, but he needs a guy who's simple. And I found like when Shen was here, he's a really simple, big right-handed shot too, like Carlo, but just simple, just predictable and simple plays. And I think you've noticed Mo. It looked like to me too, like the last few games, he's up in the play a lot more. He's jumping in. He's back to his old skating self. So that's going to be great. But I think it's the predictability for him. Simple. I think he's better with a partner who's more defensive minded and makes simple plays. Let him run with the offense. He doesn't need a skilled guy beside him or a puck mover beside him for whatever reason. But I think, I thought they looked as a pair. They had a sneaky, quiet, great game last night. Like, didn't give up much. They were good. They were simple. They made plays in the ozone when they had to, but they didn't force anything either, much like the team. So it was good to see, and happy to see it for Mo, because I know it's been, a tough start. But the last time Mo had a little bit of a tough season was that playoff where he really lit it up and was probably one of our best players, if not our best player. So, hopefully he can repeat that.
Gio, how do you explain to people what Chris Tanev does extremely well? Like when you watch, you get an appreciation for him because there's all these subtleties to his game. And I think sometimes when you see it in person, you really get more of an appreciation for it. But like some of the stuff that he does that maybe would fly under the radar, how do you explain all that?
Yeah, it's hard to explain. Like, it's hard to explain to I don't want to call it like the average fan, but like, a lot of times in hockey, what you see on TV or what you see when you're watching the game is the big player, the goals and the assists. But with Tanny, it's just like, it's stick position, it's gaps, it's knowing when to get down and make the block. And it's like he closes time and space at the right time. There's closing time and space sometimes, and some guys do it too early where, okay, the guy's just not going to pass it. Or guys like Tanev, actually, when I played too, and I played with Tanny, sometimes you're giving the pass up on purpose because you know where it's going, and as soon as that pass is made, you're going to close and stick check the guy, and it's a turnover. So he does that a lot. He reads the play like unbelievable. But I played against him for my whole career, and then got the chance to play with him for like 25 games in Calgary as a partner, and I was like, wow, he's sneaky, underrated as a puck mover. Unbelievable, an unbelievable puck mover. Makes a lot of plays through triangles. But yeah, it's just his hockey IQ. He's just, it's hard to explain, like you said, but he's been a great defenseman his whole career.
Yeah, he's had a great year. I mean, you talk about a first impression, like Leaf fans know him. He's from the city, but man, he's played so well. With Mark Giordano, in terms of playing the role of a defenseman, I'm curious, how you approach what the Leafs have now with their top two lines, where they've got Matthews and Marner together, Tavares and Nylander. But the importance of having Knies and McMann, both guys with size, both guys that can move, both guys that forecheck, both guys that go to the front of the net. Like, how does that – it's a very different element of the game, different component in terms of their skill set and the style that they play. How does that maybe affect negatively the opponent when they're trying to defend against it? Because you got to keep your eye on 16, 34, 88, but then there's – this absolute moose and Matthew Knies or McMahon coming down on you and doing whatever they're going to do as well. How does the mixture of those guys with the other four affect the way teams are going to defend them?
Well, they're hard to defend right now. Bobby looks like he's on another level. He's skating. I think he's finally feeling like 100% or close to 100%. I think the last couple of years he's had some injuries at the wrong times. And, man, you see it. He has an extra step out there. He's flying around. He's making plays. He's getting in on the forecheck. And then Knies, he's been doing it all year. So it adds a huge element. Let's pray that they stay healthy and everything's okay, because it's a huge difference when those two guys are in the lineup and playing in the top six. It's a huge difference. As good as the top four guys on the team are, they need those complementary big bodies that go to the net and make hard plays.
You still like the 5-forward power play? Like, I feel like as defensemen, like, listen, I feel like as defensemen,
I don't like it in a playoff series, like especially against a Florida or a Tampa. I don't like it at all.
But how can you argue the results right now? It's been on fire for a long time, and I think as a defenseman, we have a duty to almost like not like it just because we have to have a defenseman out there. But how can you argue with the results that they're getting? It's been unbelievable, Gio.
Yeah, they look great, but I'm never going down that road where I'm saying that there shouldn't be a defenseman on the power play. I think you need a D-man out there, and I think that shorthanded goal is the big momentum killer, and you don't want to give one up in playoffs. So find the way to get Mo back out there and get him his touches, get him feeling good, and you get that safety net back there, the defenseman.
Okay, but let me ask you this. So if you were to put a defenseman back on that power play, who comes off? Is it Tavares or is it Nyes? Because I think Nyes at net front, he's more of a handful than Tavares, but Tavares has always been in that spot, right? Like,
John's
someone's got to come off.
His ability to tip.
John,
Go ahead, Joe.
no.
How would you answer that?
Nyesie's coming off. Sorry, Nysie, I love you, but you're not. I'm not taking Johnny off the power play. I think Johnny's so good around the net, and I think he's proven through his career that on the power play he can bury the biscuit. So we'll just go with the games played number here and take Nysie off.
Yeah. I don't think it would be as an easy decision for the coaching staff as we're making it out to be, because you just defer to Tavares, the points, as long as he's been around. Matthew Nyes has been pretty valuable in front of the net and down low. Like he's. I think it would be a decision for those guys to look at that and say, what are we going to do here if they ever went back to it?
Well, that's the difference. Well, think about this. Two big guys at net front. Now, if you were defending that, Gio, like you would know, okay, there's a guy in the bumper, or I can leave a guy to the goalie, let's say, or like the defenseman who's playing the strong side, he can come down. But with those two guys kind of parked out there, like you have more decisions to make in short periods of time, and then that split second that you get on the wrong side of Nyes, you're screwed. He's too big. Like he's too hard to get around after.
Yeah, you're right. He's made such a difference this year with that net front presence. I mean, yeah, you get on the wrong side of him, but he does a lot of the times. If you watch him, he's so smart at how he positions his body. He boxes out. He's boxing out the defenseman. Like he's actually playing. It looks like he's playing defense and he's boxing the guy out. But again, they have so many threats on that power play. It's like, and you know what they don't get enough credit for is like they're so good at finding the open guy and finding the right option. The whole unit, all five of them, they make the right play all the time. It seems like, especially when they're hot. You know, when they weren't going there at the start, they were forcing it a bit, but now it seems like they're hitting the open option, and there's no defending that. You're a man down, like you're literally a man down, and if they hit the open option, it's usually in the back of your net or a quality scoring chance.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to change it, man. I don't think they're going to put Rielly out because, you know, that was an issue the last couple of years. You were there, Gio. Like the power play went ice cold down the stretch for some reason, and then come playoff time, it couldn't come alive. And I know it's a new coaching staff this year, but I'm sure they're aware of the history and the importance of special teams come playoffs. If you have a power play that's cooking, and it's been cooking for months, I don't know. I don't think they're going to change it. Like, I think it'd be difficult for them to justify changing it outside of thinking on the negative side of things, which is what you're pointing to. You give up a shorthanded goal, it's so deflating. But they would probably counter by saying, well, if we score a power play goal, it's incredibly inflating. So, like, are we going to gamble and push for it, or are we going to play on our heels? And I think that's probably what's at stake here.
If it's 2-1 in the third with 2 minutes left, they're throwing out a D-man, I think. But other than that, if they need a goal, if they need to put, you know, the nail in the coffin, I think they're going to stick with it. And, you know, the other thing is, I think they really truly believe in, you know, they tried it when I was there. They put Mitchie on D in a regular for a regular shift when I was there. So they believe his hockey IQ is that good enough where he can defend if he has to, if it comes down to it.
What was that like, Gio? Like when Mitchie came down the bench and he's like, "Okay, boys, I'm filtering in on D here for a couple shifts." Like what gets said there on the bench?
Not much. I think it gets kind of crowded down there when you never really have six guys sitting on the bench, and gets a little crowded. And you know, in the preseason, when they did it in the preseason, you're kind of like, come on, maybe let the other team get one here so they don't try this again, so we get our ice time back. No, I'm joking.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I think, you know, I'd never seen it in my career till, when did it start? Like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago? Like, it was the first time a team tried it, and I was like, as a D-man, you're just like, you're a little bit sour in the back of your head, especially if you're a power play guy, but then, I mean, I guess it's these new trends, right? It's offense is just gaining steam.
Wow.
That one wasn't a trend. It was 2 shifts and it was over with.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Although, remember, the Bruins used to put Char in front of the net on the power play.
I mean,
so, like, did anyone chirp Big Z? I doubt it. I don't think any of the forwards were saying,
I'm pretty sure if there was a delayed penalty, Chara would just like abandon where he was and just go right to the front of the net and stand there. And it was just known that on a delayed penalty, that's what he's doing.
No one's touching this guy. Good luck, man. All right, Gio, great catching up with you, man. We appreciate the insight. Let's do it again soon. Thank you for this.
Okay, boys. Take care.
You got it. There he is, Mark Giordano. Yeah, that's great to catch up with Gio. Like, great insight in terms of what he's seeing, and yeah, listen, they're in a pretty good place, and it's interesting, like the points that you make, and Giordano was kind of pointing to as well, like the chip and chase and the go fight for pucks, and we had Pronger on yesterday, and we asked him like, what do you want to see out of the Leafs, and he said maniacal compete, and you'll notice, the underlying stats and possession game and expected goals, the Leafs are not where they have been in the past. Like, their numbers are not the same in terms of outshooting, outchancing their opponents, et cetera, yet they appear to be playing with a bit of a different mentality and a different style that, in my opinion, is way more conducive to winning in the playoffs.
No kidding.
Which is what matters.
It doesn't have to be all the time. I'm not expecting, if you have a 3-on-1, to chip and chase it, because that's just moronic. But it's about what's available in front of you. And in that situation with the Nylander goal, it was like, I got guys moving one way, I'm going to put it into an area where he can go get it. Mm-hmm. Instead of some toe drag or stupid cross-ice saucer pass that gets picked off, you got a chance to make a play, you make a play. But you better damn well make it. And if you have opportunities like that, a lot of the quality teams that win, they have a congested neutral zone. That's not a secret. It's been like that for a long time. That's how they win. They don't give up too many odd man rushes. They're always on top of the puck and supporting the puck. And to beat it, you got to put the puck into different areas. And if you want to be a hero and be a one-man show and try to dangle around it, that's what they prey on. So that was a perfect example how it can work.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And furthermore, you've got to trust the guy that's going to go get it too. And I think that speaks to McMann and it speaks to Nyes.
That's the thing with their skill players. And I'm just going to use Mitch as an example. If Matthews chips one and Mitch is like, I don't know if I want to go do that, then it's useless, right?
Yeah, you got to go get it.
That's the difference of playoff mentality and playoff hockey. There is no option. There's no option to say, I don't want to get the chip and chase, and then I got it. Too bad. That's what you got to do, and that's called buy-in, and that's how you win.
Yeah, and everything's rooted in defense in the playoffs anyways, right? Like, you've been in those pre-scout meetings where you go down the hole of, like, here's what this team is throwing at us for 7 games potentially. And 80% of that is talking about how you're defending. And then the other 20% is like, here's how we're going to generate offense, because it's pretty boilerplate stuff. It's what you just said. You know what I mean? Like, it's just how are we getting through their defense and how are we defending so that it's hard for them to make their offense. Mm-hmm. That's what it always boils down to.
And if you do what Bobby McMann did and you do it successful, what happens is you put it, like, if you make that play and you grind it out and then skill plays happen, you get a 2-0 lead, guess what happens after that? Florida kind of abandons what they're used to doing all the time and they stretch out a little bit. Then you can catch them and say, oh, you want to cheat a little bit to try to score offense? Now we'll bury you. And that's how you crush teams. Yeah. So it's like it's there if you want it to be, but you got to take control of the game by doing the simple little things, and then you get the team to do things that are out of character, and then you can bury them.
That's it. You get a lead, teams are going to have to cheat.
That's right. They can't have the guy high all the time. They have D pinching. They're taking risks because they're trying to get back in the game, and that's where you can expose them and crush them.
Yeah, and Florida's a perfect example of that. Like, they have applied all those philosophies the last couple of years.
Yes.
And when in doubt, like, it sometimes simple is better, sometimes play safe. I think what Gio was just saying about setting your team up for the next shift, like setting the next line up, it's really important. And like Florida did it brilliantly on their cup runs. Is, if they were in trouble, they'd flip a puck out into the neutral zone and say, we'll reset and we'll make you fight through it again. And I think the Leafs are starting to do. I've noticed that with Carlo a lot recently. Like, if he feels like he's in trouble, he'll just flip it into the neutral zone.
Yeah, it's not worth it, man. Yeah. Like, why do you have to try and do too much?
Yeah, right. You can't do it all the time. You got to be able to break out. And you got to be able to take control of plays. But when in doubt, man,
nothing going on. Get it out.
Yeah, get it out and force them to try to battle back in. And again, we'll see what comes of it as we move forward here. But the Leafs are in a good spot. Bunch of games in the NHL tonight. The Jays are off. They're in New York playing the Mets tomorrow. Steve Phillips coming up in just over half an hour. See Shohei Ohtani walking off last night. The Dodgers are 8-0.
Yeah, it's
disgusting. It's
trophy.
disgusting. And Ohtani hits a walk-off bomb last night, and it's just crazy how good they are.
But dude, it got me thinking. There's a team. They're clearly making more than any other organization in the league.
Mm-hmm.
What a run! If you're a diehard Dodgers fan, Mary Hart behind home plate, what a run you're going to be getting here. You've got Ohtani locked in. This is their second World Series championship in the last 5 or 6 years. They're probably going to pick off 2 or 3 more. Ohtani every night, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. It never stops.
No.
It's that's where it's the team that kind of makes the most, can blow the most, and have the best team. It seems why not?
Well, and
why not?
This is the second wave because it started a decade ago.
Yes.
With Kershaw and with they went to the World Series in 2017, 16 or 17 when Houston and all that controversy and them cheating.
They totally
and
turned it over.
Yeah, exactly. And now it basically is a different team. They went out and got Mets. They got Freeman. They got Shohei. There's a couple of carryovers.
Turner was their first baseman.
That's right. Yeah, they
third baseman.
Third baseman, absolutely.
At least now it gives us
for them.
It also gives everyone something to track around the league, right? When it comes to these all-time records, there's a team that it actually is attainable. You would think, anyways. Yeah, considering the start
they had
that they're having.
Manny Machado there for a season, didn't they? Traded for Manny Machado at the deadline one year.
That's right. They've been in the hunt for a decade, and they will be likely for the next decade as the pace car.
Dude, I was thinking about it last
incredible.
night though. If you're a diehard, if you're just got some bank and you're retired in LA and you're a diehard Dodgers fan, what a run you're going to have.
Just drive your convertible up there and park yourself at Dodger Stadium. And just have yourself a great time.
That's a must-see ballpark, Hazy, Dodger Stadium.
It's number one probably on my list now. I've been everywhere else.
You have never been there?
Never done Dodger Stadium. No, I've done all the other big ones that I can think of. And
do the Jays go this year?
I don't know about that. They were there a few years ago. Because remember, Bichette hit 2 home runs at Dodger Stadium. That was a while ago.
OverDrive from Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, that would be great. Right?
Dude,
I'm sure we'll do
OverDrive outside of Vaughan.
Yeah, Christie Pitts. I don't know if we could set up shop. Did you say they're in L.A. when? In August? Oh, they are in August. Oh,
there you go.
Okay, well that might have to be
trip to L.A.
Little circle there. Might have to take a look at that.
What about this trip, Hazy? Wives included? A little L.A., Dodger Stadium, Riviera, Bel Air Country Club, and home.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does, dude.
That just sounds correct, right? It just sounds like that's meant to happen. Maybe we mix in an LACC or something like that. Maybe
you got.
If we can get away with 3 rounds, if our wives will let us play 3 rounds, I'll do LA Country Club, Riv, and Bel Air, a Dodgers game, and we're out.
And we're out of here. Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's probably it.
That's going to be my 50th birthday present, and I want you to share it with me.
I love that idea. I like that for you. All right,
guys.
let's chat offline. Steve Phillips coming up in half an hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Steve Phillips coming up in half an hour. Talk about the first place Toronto Blue Jays. Off to a good start, man. Off to a really good start. And they're at the Mets on Friday. And Kevin Gausman will be on the mound for that game. And Ohtani walking off for the Dodgers last night. There's a lot to get into with Steve, so we'll catch up with him in about a half an hour. And I guess we're 3 away from the record now for Ovechkin. And Bettman was there last night. Ted Leonsis, the owner's obviously going to travel with the team. He'll be there. He'll get his nose right in there. Leonsis will be right on the ice when he scores that goal.
Remember when they drafted Ovi, he was like, this guy's going to be the greatest goal scorer in the history of the earth. And we were like, settle down, bud. I'm almost positive he said that.
Yeah. Relax, Ted.
For him, though, they end up winning a Stanley Cup. The roster gets turned over to the point where it's unrecognizable from that team to this team. Mm-hmm. And here they are in first place. And they've found a way to not only just have Ovi chasing the record, but for them to be a really good team. It's a perfect situation.
It's a perfect storm.
Ownership has to play some kind of some kind of part in that happening.
Of course. I'm joking, but the guy obviously has owned the team the whole time. They bottomed out. It's another example of when you get that first pick, you have to pray that you get a guy like this. Mm-hmm. You get an Ovechkin, you get a Crosby, you get a McDavid, because your year may come up and it's like, we got a good player, but he's not a life changer.
Could get Nail Yakupov.
You could get a guy who will not even be in the league in a few years. That can happen. That is Nail Yakupov. Or you could get a guy that's just a really good player, but he's not going to completely change the value of your organization. Where Ovechkin has made that guy a fortune, fortune of terms of within the market, within the league, jersey sales, ticket sales, winning, goal scoring. Now this chase, it's a cherry on top. And I would say that Sid has probably supplied more value to Pittsburgh because they've won more cups and they've been to more cup finals, and that's how you really make bank. Like the ticket prices for a cup final, even in Pittsburgh, Washington, compared to Toronto, Montreal, New York, it's still going to be really, really high. But I would think, Ovi and Sid have got to be two of the 4 or 5 players, most valuable players. I'm talking on a spreadsheet of all time.
Dude, winning Stanley Cups, you move merch.
Big time merch.
You move merch.
And when those guys came into the league, jersey guy became a real popular thing. I don't think in the NHL, jersey guy was always that much of a thing. But right when those guys came in, it started to be. Even in Toronto here, I don't remember ever seeing jersey guy at the game. Now everybody buys a jersey, man.
Yeah.
They buy numerous jerseys.
Well, think about these guys, okay? The jerseys are one thing, but then all the Stanley Cup merch, they moved that for months, probably.
Yes.
Probably the whole year after. Mm-hmm. Now, Ovi's going to break this goal record. That's going to be a whole other line of merch that you're moving.
Oh, yeah.
These guys, and that's just one small thing on, in the grand scheme of it. But still, it's that's another money-making avenue for them.
Big time. And again, I would think the prices for these tickets down the stretch in Washington and the secondary market, which the league may not actually get anything from, but these are going to be massive prices. If he's on $8.94 and he's playing a home game on a Saturday night, that feels like Aaron Judge trying to hit 62. You know what I mean? It may not be at the same level because, again, the market is a little bit different in the sport within the city. This is an example, though. If Ovechkin was a Maple Leaf or was a Canadian or a Canuck or something like that, if he had spent his whole career in Canada, the prices would be absolutely insane.
Well, he's got
to get into the building to watch him try to do it.
It's at home on Friday against Chicago, and then Sunday it's on Long Island.
That's the thing. There'll be 5,000 people in the building.
No way.
I hope not.
It is going to be sold out, and I think people are going to be buying tickets for triple the price that they would normally pay for Islanders tickets, and they're going to be like, I can't believe I'm paying $500 US to go watch the Islanders right now.
Do you think it'll be? I'm not convinced it'll be sold out. I'm not. With the Islanders, with what's going on with them, and they're starting to fade, and now they got a gong show in their hands with Anthony Duclair. And
oh, man.
If you're not familiar with, do we have the Patrick Waugh audio? Why don't we just play Patrick Waugh from a couple of nights ago, where the Islanders didn't play well, they lost. Duclair, in particular, didn't play well. This is what Patrick Waugh had to say about his play.
And Duclair played only a little over 12 minutes.
He was god-awful. He was god-awful. He had a bad game. That's why I didn't play him a lot. And he's lucky to be in the lineup. Sorry if I lose it on him right now, but that's how I feel.
Just what are you seeing that he's not doing?
He's not skating, he's not competing, he's not moving his feet. He's not playing up to what we expect from him.
Do you feel like that's an effort thing?
I think it's an effort thing.
Ooh, man, that's harsh. That is harsh. At the end, saying I think it's an effort thing.
Yeah.
But the latest today, Duclair was not on the ice, and Patrick Waugh. We have Patrick Waugh's explanation. All right, here, look at us, journalism 101. Here's Patrick Waugh on why Duclair wasn't on the ice this morning.
Before we go anywhere, obviously you saw that Anthony was not at the practice today, so this morning Anthony and I had a very good conversation, very positive one. And Anthony asked me to take some time off and reflect. So obviously I agreed to that, and we'll give him all the time that he needs. So that should close the discussion over Anthony.
Well, it's not going to, obviously. I mean, this is a very rare scenario where a player
How much time does he need with 8 games left in the season?
Exactly. I mean, I don't see how it's going to work again in the future. I think Patrick Waugh and the Islanders are going to be you got to be very careful here.
Yes.
And it's a different era that we're living in, but the players saying, I need to reflect and I need to leave. He got carved up, but that happens. Like, coaches carve you up.
That happens all the time. One of two things happen. He needs a mental break. He's got something going on in his life. Or him and Patrick Waugh just had a conversation, and one said, I hate your guts, and the other one said, I hate your guts more, so I'm just going to not come here and not see you.
I think they know each other. Would they know each other from Quebec City days in the queue?
They could be best friends from high school. They aren't anymore.
No, and that's like, how does he get back into the room is the question. If you're on that team, the Islanders are fighting for playoffs, and forget Patrick Waugh. This gets into a dressing room dynamic conversation where the players are like, really, dude, we could have used you last night, but you're not here.
Who knows?
He's been on
That's
a lot
tough.
of teams. There's usually a reason. That goes up, and there's a positive blip, and then the wheels fall off. And like I said, there could be something going on with Anthony Duclair that he needs to get assistance with. I am not sure, but he's been on a lot of teams, so something always pops up, and who knows what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, anyways, people will be spending $600 to watch the Islanders, who have lost 4 in a row. And they're a tough watch when they're playing well.
Yeah, I hope.
It's like when teams are like kind of
see
see the writing on the wall. Like you see it with Vancouver. Like the air comes out where it's like, they got smacked by Seattle last night. It's like, you could tell it's game over, man.
Well, it's getting ugly. You talk about dynamics like Waugh and Duclair. Now it's Tocchet versus Pettersson, where Rick Tocchet he made some comments that have the marketplace believing that he's indicating he thinks Pettersson should be playing.
Yeah,
and Pettersson's not playing. He's injured. He's not skating much either.
Well, he was pretty quick to go back to Vancouver after hurting something off of a face-off. I'm not getting into it because I just can't stand talk. It's just.
But here we go again.
Your team was desperately dying and needed you so bad, and you had a face-off play, and he just got on a bird and went back to Vancouver. Bizarro world.
The bird on the road trip. It's got it has to be bad. If you are wasting that bullet on something that is not like if you're just saying I gotta go back because you can't hang out and you're gonna be bored or something, that's crazy.
But Frankie,
talk.
More importantly, who the hell doesn't want to stay around the New York area and hang out with the guys? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's the Vancouver thing is
but this is going to get ugly, man, because now again it doesn't have to, and they can control the narrative. But it was Pettersson versus Miller, and now it's going to be Pettersson versus Tocchet. And if that happens,
who knows what happens with Tocchet, Hayes?
He might leave.
He might just say, it's not going to be me and Pettersson anymore because I'm not dealing with him anymore.
Dude, Rick Tocchet was on. He was the assistant coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins when they won Stanley Cups, and this guy saw not only the most skilled players in the world, like they were the most skilled players, but he saw them go to war. Like guys getting shot up, playing through injuries, getting surgeries at the end of the year.
What about Sid, Frankie?
Right.
Sid was the hardest working of all the people that have been labeled the best player in the world. And Sid was the hardest working best player in the world, and now he's got to deal with this garbage.
Well, exactly. And he's like, I have seen these guys do what it takes, and I know they know how to win. And he probably looks at them and says, are not that. And you can't, and you're not going to be that. And so that's who you're hitching your wagon to as a coach. So if you lose that belief, where do you go from there?
7 years at $11.6 million.
He looks like a hipster that hangs out at coffee shops, doesn't care less about what's going on at the rink. It's embarrassing.
Well, listen, it's just a reality in Vancouver. And again, if I don't think you can allow it to get to a point where that becomes a story, the star player against the coach now. Like you've already played the Pettersson versus Miller, and Miller left. I don't know if it is bubbling over where Tocchet's going to have an issue. And again, we're speculating based on what he said. But if he's got an issue with Pettersson, and listen, he has a right to criticize the way the guy's played. He's played horribly this season based on his expectation. Relative
Do we have
to
the Tocchet quotes?
We'd have to go find them. We'll find them, and we can. Again, some of it is putting 2 and 2 together, and it's like, well, what does he mean by that? Again, I think the marketplace is on edge, and they got spanked last night, and it's over. Like last night, the white flag went up.
And I think they're losing hope for next year.
Yeah, and that's another part.
It's like this is not a quick turnaround now.
Right, exactly.
Well, then guess what? The hope is lost after that.
For everybody.
No, it's for Quinn Hughes because he's going to be like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Want to win.
Yeah, 2 years. He's got 2 years left. All All right, Steve Phillips coming up. Chris Johnston on this and more as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Al's brother's out hiding somewhere in the city with a pair of Leaf tickets. You have to guess where he's hiding for your chance to win them. Here is the fourth and final clue of the week.
Hey, Overdrive fans, it's Thursday. I've got one final clue for you to get yourself a pair of Leafs and Habs tickets if you can find out where I've been hiding at this week. And here is your final clue. The street signs here have 3 very distinct colors on them, marking this a specific Toronto neighborhood.
All right, Al's brother. Very good stuff. Very good. When you hear the cue to call tomorrow, the first caller through with the correct location wins a pair of tickets. Leafs Canadians, April 12th. Find Al's brother brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora, our family, the Ford family, and you.
Not the last game of the season?
No, the last game is like the 17th. Right? The Leafs are, who do they play? The
last game of the year? Where am I?
They play the Red Wings
Detroit.
on the 17th, yeah.
They
at
still
home.
got one. They still got one against Buffalo in Buffalo, which is like, it's always. You never know what you're gonna get. That's like a minestrone soup, man. It could be anything in there.
That's the scary thing again. It's always like dark thoughts with Leaf fans is they're going to have like a 2-point buffer.
You always say it, Hayes. It's because of past experiences.
That's exactly it.
And the past experiences in Buffalo are horrendous.
I can justify it. I'm just saying they're going to have like a 2-point buffer on Tampa and Florida. It's like all you got to do is beat Buffalo or Detroit, and they're going to lose to both of them, and then it's going to be like, all right, what happens now? Someone going to leapfrog you? Because that's always dangerous. Those two teams won't be playing for anything. The Leafs will think we can go in there and cruise, and we'll find a way to pick up a win. Positive thoughts. Yeah. Positive thoughts. Steve Phillips, Chris Johnston still to come. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.